Neutral Zone on Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. Happy Independence Day. By that, we mean Adam's off, so we're to talk lots of Red Wings tonight. Woo! Draft talk, free agency moves, and more. Plus, we got some college talk and women's hockey talk as well. So buckle on in, don't get checked into the board, stay out of the penalty box, protect your 5-hole, and let's light the lamp. Let's go! And welcome on in to the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Zach Poplis. Adam has the night off, but we still got lots of hard-hitting news and fun for you tonight. We are celebrating, Canada Day in Canada from July 1st, and now Independence Day, July 4th, here in the U.S. today. And to go along with that theme, we're going to celebrate our independence since Adam's off, and we are going to talk heavy Red Wings. We got lots of draft news. We got some free agency moves to talk about. We're also going to get into some college hockey and some women's hockey even. So buckle on in, and we'll get through this and get her done tonight. Yeah. If you're following along on Spreaker, don't forget you can hop in the chat room and you can chat with us live. Or if you're listening to a normal podcast anywhere else after the fact, you can get it from anywhere you get your typical podcasts. You can follow along with us on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone for the show, or myself at The Poplis. In fact, we got Larry B in the chat room right now. How you doing, Larry B? Thank you for all that you do for the network and the channel and everything, keeping everything running smoothly. You are the wind beneath our wings, if you will. All right, well, last Wednesday, Thursday, we had the draft. Adam and I did a mock for who we thought was going to go where. I'm sure we had our share of hits and misses. We're gonna grade all of that next week. But in the meantime, we can talk some of the Red Wings picks. We can talk the free agency, or if Larry has any suggestions, what he wants to talk about, any questions or anything, we'll be happy to dig into it. So some notes from last week. The NHL draft's a little different from NFL. NFL, everybody comes from the college ranks, so you kind of know, or at least everybody in the first round, maybe not by the time you get to the 7th round, but definitely the first round. But with hockey, it's kids from the minors and kids from Canada and kids from Sweden and Russia, Czechoslovakia, whatever. And they don't always, they're not always in college yet. And sometimes they go back when they get drafted, and then they go to college for a little more seasoning. So it's kind of strange like that, and it's not as clear cut as like the NFL, for instance. Taryn wants to know who realistically won the NHL draft last week. Wow, good question. Well, apparently Red Wings got all defensive men. Somebody had posted a tweet, and it was like the Captain Crunch cereal box, like, oops, all berries, except it said, oops, all defensemen. I think, I don't know. We haven't really gone through the whole thing to see yet who has won it as a whole, but gut reaction, just because of such a generational player, I'm going to say Chicago. As much as it pains me, don't tell Adam, that they got such a generational player in Connor Bedard going first. So that's what I'm going to go with. What do you guys think? Taryn, Larry, hit me up. This was the Red Wings draft order anyways. Round 1, pick 9, Nate Danielson. He's a center from Brandon. I think that's in Canada. Let me see. Round 1, pick 17, Axel Sandin Palika. He's a defenseman. He's out of Sweden, and he shares my birthday. So, of course, I have to root for him. Plus, he's Swedish, and I'm Swedish, and we're both now Red Wings. So, there you go. We're basically best friends now. Round 2, pick 9, Trey Augustine. He's a goalie, USA under 18. Round 2, pick 10. Back-to-back. Andrew Gibson. He's a defenseman from Sault Ste. Marie. So keeping it in state. I like it. Up in the UP. The Upers, eh? Almost to Canada, eh? Round 2, pick 15. They got Brady Cleveland. He's a defenseman from USA under 18. Round 3, pick 9. Noah Dower-Nilsson. Left wing. Just based off the name, I'm going to go Sweden. Round 4, pick 21, Larry Keenan, defenseman of Culver Academy. Round 5, pick 9, Jack Phelan, defenseman from Sioux Falls. Round 5, pick 19, Kevin Bicker, left winger from Mannheim Jr. Round 6, pick 9, Rudy Guimond, a goalie from Taft School. And lastly, in round 7, pick 9, Emmett Finney. He is a center from Kamloops. So we will see how these picks develop and see who goes to the minors and who stays in the majors, who starts immediately, and who needs more seasoning in college. We'll see. All right, so there's your draft recap, at least from the Red Wings' perspective. From free agency, that also opened, only like 2 days later from the draft, 2 days after the draft. The Red Wings picked up some standout players here, including JT Compher from the no longer defending Stanley Cup champs, but last year's Stanley Cup champs, the Colorado Avalanche. So Red Wings signed him to a 5-year, $25 million deal. This was from ESPN.com. Having been part of one rebuild that led to a Stanley Cup, JT Compher looks to be part of another as the forward joins the Detroit Red Wings. Compher signed a 5-year contract with the Red Wings that will see him earn $5.1 million annually. Everything Compher achieved over the past 2 seasons was why the Colorado Avalanche would have liked to have kept him, but they could not afford to retain the 28-year-old, who was in line for a significant payday. The role he played in the Avalanche's title-winning campaign in 21 and 22 saw him score a career high 18 goals in the regular season. He combined his strong two-way game with 8 points in 20 playoff games to help the Avs capture their 3rd Stanley Cup in team history. In 22-23, the cost of winning a Stanley Cup caught up to the Avalanche. They lost players such as Andrei Burakovsky and Nazem Kadri in free agency, which created an internal need for secondary scoring. Compher took advantage of that situation and eventually became the Avs' second-line center. Compher's 17 goals were one shy of his career high, but his career-high 52 points, coupled with his consistent two-way presence, helped an off-injured and at times inconsistent Avs team still finish with the best regular season record in the Western Conference before being eliminated by the Seattle Kraken in the playoffs. His arrival gives the Red Wings a veteran whose experience could help them in their bid to return to the playoffs for the first time since 15-16, which is currently tied for the longest playoff drought in franchise history. Oh, so sad. They were going for like 25 years straight. I'll have to do the math on it, but I don't know if they've been going to the playoffs my entire life or it's just for as long as I've been paying attention to hockey. Could be the latter, but yeah. They've been out for a while now, which sucks. Is that Mike Pat in the chat? Collusion? What? Never. Mike says he won the fantasy league last year. Or the fantasy league or fantasy draft. We'll see. His arrival gives the Red Wings a veteran whose experience could help them return to the playoffs. Longest playoff drought in franchise history. The most recent season saw the Red Wings finish 12 points behind the Florida Panthers for the final Eastern Conference wildcard spot. And we saw what the Panthers did in the playoffs. That's wild. The Red Wings were only 12 points behind them. That's wow. I mean, just a little more oomph, and they could have made the playoffs. Compher joining the Red Wings is also something of a homecoming. I'm sorry. I think it's Shane in the chat. My bad. You didn't win Fantasy League last year. I won it. I had the trophy and the app and everything. Don't even. Or are you going to go make yourself another ring? Let's see. Compher joining the Red Wings is also something of a homecoming. The 28-year-old Compher played in the United States National Team Development Program when it was in Ann Arbor, before it was later moved to Plymouth, Michigan. He then attended University of Michigan, where he starred for 3 seasons with a number of players who would later reach the NHL. 2 of those players just happened to be Red Wings centers Andrew Kopp and captain Dylan Larkin. Kopp, Compher, and Larkin spent 1 season together at Michigan back in 2014-15 when they guided the Wolverines to a 22-win campaign that ended with a conference championship game loss to Minnesota. Wah, wah. But yes, that's pretty cool that he's coming home to Michigan. So they mentioned that the Colorado Avalanche, JT Compher's former team, had played the Seattle Kraken in the playoffs and lost in the first round. Red Wings have continued to add to their depth, reaching an agreement with a Kraken player as well on a 1-year deal for $2 million with forward Daniel Sprong, formerly of the Seattle Kraken. So, got 2 new fun pieces to play with. They've also got 2 more. One of whom is one of Adam and my favorite players to mention here, just because of the name alone. Detroit Red Wings boost their back line. They signed Shane Gostisbehere here. It literally looks like you typed 4 words together and you put it into his last name, and that's that. But the Red Wings signed veteran defenseman Shane Gostisbehere to a 1-year, $4.125 million contract. The team announced Saturday night. One of the better puck-moving defensemen in the summer market. Gostisbehere will no longer be saddled by a lengthy contract that many teams could not take on. He started last season with the Arizona Coyotes and finished with a playoff run on the Carolina Hurricanes, his 3rd NHL club. Gostisbehere, 29, signed a surprising 6-year, $27 million deal with the Philadelphia Flyers back in 2017, only to be derailed by injuries, COVID, and a major change in the direction with management. One of the few Florida natives in the NHL, Gostis Behere of Pembroke Pines outside of Miami, agreed to 2 contracts with the Flyers, in fact dating back to when the Philadelphia drafted him back in 2012. Together they totaled $31.2 million. After the 2021 season, however, Philadelphia, trying to trim some payroll, decided to dump Gostis Behere's deal, and the Coyotes, who needed to get to the salary cap floor, were the strongest suitor. Nearly 2 seasons later, he finally hit the end of a deal that carried an average annual value of $4.5 million. But with rebuilding Arizona, Gostis Behere saw an increase in playing time, and as such, he rediscovered his offense. Last season, he finished with 14 goals and 51 points, and before his trade to Carolina on March 1st, he had 10 goals. A clear quarterback on the power play with elite skating skills on the back line, Gostis Behere can add depth to a contender's special teams unit. His defensive metrics have never been so strong, so staying away from short-handed situations might be a solid idea for his new club. But at even strength and with the man advantage, he can be quite effective. His career from the blue line is unquestioned in any situation. In 2017-18 with the Flyers, he had 13 goals and a career-high 65 points. And in his first 2 games with Carolina, he had 2 goals and 4 points. Though his new deal isn't significantly less than last year's monetary number, it will allow Detroit the time to see if he is a fit on the blue line, all at a manageable term and rate. And if the Red Wings fall out of postseason contention in the Eastern Conference, Gostis Behere's expiring deal will likely increase his trading appeal. So don't get a long-term mortgage for him. He might be better off renting. Okay, got it. Earlier in the day, Detroit added forward JT Compher, like we talked about, 5-year contract with $5.1 million annually, as well as veteran goaltender James Reimer, who took on a 1-year, $1.5 million deal to back up Ville Husso. All right, so in addition to Gostis Behere, they were having some issues with Filip Zadina, trying to get to the negotiating table with him. So they had put him on waivers, and he's cleared the waivers. So he's going to remain with the Red Wings. Detroit Red Wings forward Filip Zadina, the number 6 overall draft pick in 2018, will remain with the organization after clearing waivers on today. Zadina still has 2 years left on his contract, with a salary cap hit of $1.825 million and $4.56 million owed in cash, likely explaining why he went unclaimed. Detroit placed Zadina on waivers Monday after general manager Steve Yzerman said the 23-year-old asked for a trade through his agent, but the team was unable to find a suitable deal. I tried to find a place for him to play, somebody that's interested in Philip, maybe give him a better opportunity to play. I haven't yet been able to do that, Yzerman said Monday. So I put him on the waivers today. I'm trying to give him an opportunity to go somewhere, an organization, if he wants to play more. We'll see if that happens. Zadina played in 190 games with the Red Wings, tallying 68 points. That's 28 goals and 40 assists, and 22 penalty minutes. Sidelined part of the 22-23 season with a lower body injury, Zadina played in just 30 games and recorded 3 goals and 4 assists. The Czech player signed a 3-year, $5.475 million contract extension with Detroit last August. So, there you go. All right. So that pretty much is all of our Red Wings news. We do have some more contract news to talk about, plus some college hockey and some women's hockey. But we are going to catch our first break. So we'll be back after this. You're listening to The Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Callum Reynolds, Mike Pat and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter, at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back to the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, I'm your host, Zach Puplis. All right, before we dive back in, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Shane, who was in the chat a little bit ago. It is actually his birthday today. So, in addition to America's birthday. So, happy birthday to America, and happy birthday, 37th birthday, happy 37th birthday to Mr. Shane. So, all right. But just wanted to make sure I get that out there before he has to start getting ready for bed and get ready for work early in the morning. So, all right. We got a couple more articles here tonight. We got a couple more free agency pieces. Let's stick with those, and then we'll move on to the college hockey and other topics. All right, so the Vegas Golden Knights have some news, some contract news. For the defending Stanley Cup champions, Adin Hill, after his remarkable performance in the playoffs, has agreed to a 2-year contract extension with the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights have reached a 2-year contract extension with goaltender Adin Hill, the team announced Friday. The deal is worth $4.9 million per year. Hill's value seemed to go up with each new round of the postseason. There wasn't a challenge he didn't meet, that's for sure. In leading the Vegas Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup, the 27-year-old veteran climbed the depth chart among free agent goaltenders. How exciting. Playing on an expiring deal that carried a $2.2 million salary cap hit, Hill raised his profile with series wins over the Oilers, the Dallas Stars, just to get to the final, and then opposed by the postseason's hottest goaltender, Florida's Sergei Bobrovsky. Hill stole the show in the title round as well. All told in the postseason, Hill was 11-4 with a 2.17 goals against average and a .932 save percentage. Whew, wow. And his only loss of the Cup Finals, Game 3, came in overtime. Quote, "We're very happy for him. He's a guy that's been through some injuries and he's had to work his way back into the lineup," Vegas coach Bruce Cassidy said of Hill during the final. "He's done a great job for us, obviously, and he's a big reason why we're here," end quote. So, all that said, as teams weighed his complete body of work this summer, he was still a netminder who had never started 30 games in a season before and had won just 26 games across the past 2 regular seasons. But Hill, a 2015 third-round pick of the Arizona Coyotes, obligatory sad coyote howl, has a career 2.67 goals against average to go with a .910 save percentage. Numbers often associated with decent-sized summer deals for goaltenders, and he also has 5 shutouts in 88 starts. So, a well-deserved extension for Adin Hill. Yeah. What else? Here we go. Guys, I have breaking news. Just want to let you know, next year's Stanley Cup champion, based off this news, grain of salt here, but going to be the Minnesota Wild. Hear me out. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but here's why. The Tampa Bay Lightning have dealt 3-time Stanley Cup winner Pat Maroon to the Wild. He has not only won the Cup twice with the Lightning, he also won it with St. Louis. So, I think it's a sign. I think Minnesota's going to win it next year. But, anyways. I'm just guessing. But, we just follow the trends here. That's all we do, The Tampa Bay Lightning traded 3-time Cup winners Pat Maroon to the Minnesota Wild on Sunday night in a move that cleared some salary cap space. The Lightning also traded forward Max Kajkovic, I think maybe, Kajkovic, to Minnesota, while retaining 20% of Maroon's $1 million salary. The Lightning received a 2024 7th-round pick in return. Quote, the flat cap is difficult for all 32 GMs. Lightning general manager Julien Brisebois said, it's not tougher for me than it is for them. But then the added room will clear enough space for Brisebois to sign a player in the league minimum of $775,000, perhaps with bonuses. Maroon, 35, was a fourth liner on the Lightning, a tough presence in the front of the net who makes the most of his 6'3", 234-pound frame. He finished with 5 goals and 14 points last season. While he has never been a prolific scorer or even accrued major minutes, Maroon has been in the right place in the right time more often in his career. In 2019, he helped the St. Louis Blues win the Stanley Cup. The following 2 seasons, he was with the Lightning for the Cup runs. Last season, in an incident that reverberated around the league, Maroon was mocked by NESN broadcaster Jack Edwards during a game between Tampa Bay and the Boston Bruins. It was midway through the first period when Edwards, the Bruins' longtime play-by-play announcer, made some targeted comments about the winger's size. The commentary inspired Maroon to get charitable, and he announced later that week that in support of those struggling with mental health, bullying, and body image, he had made a $2,000 donation in Edwards' name to the Tampa Bay Thrives, a nonprofit that assists those who struggle with mental health and substance abuse issues. Savage. And also, charitable. That was a perfect comeback. But yeah, I think that's I'm not going off of any other player or returning talent or anything else, but he's already won 3 cups. Like he points his direction, his compass north to Minnesota, and yep, they're gonna win next year. There you go, done deal. Here we go. Perfect segue. Done deal. Speaking of done deal, new women's professional hockey league to launch in January. A new women's professional hockey league will begin competing in North America in January after a deal was brokered between rival factions in the sport. This was on ESPN's website, but it's from the Associated Press. Los Angeles Dodgers co-owner Mark Walter and his wife Kimbra, team president Stan Kasten, and tennis legend Billie Jean King will help run the league after Walter's firm purchased assets of the Premier Hockey Federation, the PHF. The agreement, announced recently, ends a years-long feud between the 7-team PHF and the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, a group that includes many U.S. and Canadian national team members who were unwilling to join the league formerly known as the NWHL. I'm extremely proud of our Professional Women's Hockey Players Association group, which has remained committed to our vision and steadfast in our efforts to change the landscape of women's professional hockey forever. PHWPA member and USA women's star Kendall Coyne Schofield said in a statement, quote, over the past 4 years, we have worked tirelessly to close the gap on what young girls and boys could dream to become in the sport. End quote. It also could bring the NHL to the table in a support role. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman has said that he and team owners did not want to get involved in a dispute between leagues, but would throw weight behind one once it was formed. So kind of the whole HD DVD versus Blu-ray. I gotcha. Quote, the National Hockey League congratulates the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association and the Premier Hockey Federation on their agreement. The NHL said, we already have initiated discussions with representatives of this unified group regarding how we can work together to grow the game, to grow the women's game, end quote. The Professional Women's Hockey Players Association has been working with the Mark Walter Group and Billie Jean King Enterprises over the past 14 months in a bid to launch its own league. Quote, this is an extraordinary opportunity to advance women's sports, King said in the league statement. I have no doubt that this league can capture the imagination of fans and a new generation of players, end quote. The Premier Hockey Federation had been scheduled to begin its 9th season this fall. Instead, it is expected to cease operations. The new league will bring together North America's most accomplished female players and is likely to include talented players from Europe and Asia who had also played in the PHF, Premier Hockey Federation. The new league is expected to feature PWHPA Chief Jana Hefford and Premier Hockey Federation Commissioner Regan Carey in leadership roles. This is another step forward for the women who play professional hockey and the girls who dream of it every day, said Joanna Boynton, who along with co-PHF Governor John Boynton will also be part of the league leadership. Among the many issues that need to be sorted out is the number of teams and where they will play. The Premier Hockey Federation, which had doubled each team's salary cap to $1.5 million entering this season, had teams in Boston, Toronto, and Montreal, along with East Rutherford, New Jersey, Hartford, Connecticut, Buffalo, New York, and Richfield, Minnesota. All right, so let's see, one more time. So Boston, Toronto, Montreal. Okay, makes sense. So then New Jersey, Hartford, Connecticut, Buffalo, New York, and Richfield, Minnesota. Okay. The PWHPA was certified as a union this spring and has completed negotiations on a collective bargaining agreement. A 62-page CBA was presented to their members Thursday night, and they have until Sunday night to ratify it. And the new league's constitution, according to a person familiar with the details, who spoke to the AP anonymously before the deal was announced. If approved, the deal will run through 2031 and feature a minimum salary of $35,000 for players on active rosters, the person said. In the meantime, existing PHF player contracts have been voided through an agreement in place, though an agreement is in place to pay those under contract a portion of their salary through September, person told AP. Some players are losing out on contracts they signed worth more than $150,000 over 2 seasons. Oh my goodness. The higher salaries helped the Premier Hockey Federation attract several high-profile international players, including Switzerland's Alina Müller, Sweden's Emma Soderberg, and former Finland goalie and ex-PWHPA board member Noora Ratti. North American pro women's hockey has seen leagues come and go this century, with the Canadian Women's Hockey League folding in 2019 after 12 seasons featuring some of the best players in the world. Danny Ryland Kearney launched the National Women's Hockey League in 2015 as an investor-funded 4-team league, but the league scuffled at times, and it was rebranded as the Premier Hockey Federation. Their union was formed in 2019 with the fallout of the Canadian Women's Hockey League demise. Its members balked at joining the National Women's Hockey League and instead pursued their vision of a league with a sustainable economic model and better compensation. Earlier this month, their union board member and U.S. star Hillary Knight insisted that the Premier Hockey Federation was not the best model for building the women's pro game, even if the divide of the sport persisted. Quote, I made this distinction. The more women we can have get paid to do the sport they love, I think that's awesome, Knight said. What bothers me is the illusion of professionalism and what women's hockey should be, and settling for what it is, right? And I think that's the big distinction is let's call it what it is. So, some big news for the women's game in North America. Hopefully they can make a go of it this time and get more teams in the country and get more players and maybe it can be up there with the WNBA at some point. So progress, I guess. Anyways, headed towards that. There was an update on that story on ESPN today. Let me go see if I can find it. While I do that, let's take our last break for the night. We'll be back. You're listening to The Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the show that never sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here on the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Zach Puplis. All right, one final segment for the night, and then we'll be out of here. And you can continue with your revelry for the Independence Day holiday before having to go back to work tomorrow. Wah, wah. But hey, at least, we're not working today. I mean, England's probably working today. Suck it. All right, so there is an update on the article we were just talking about the new Professional Women's Hockey League to launch in January. Reports are that the Women's Hockey League players have ratified their CBA to launch the league. It's game on for a new, yet-to-be-named Women's Pro Hockey League to launch in January, after union members cleared the final major hurdle on Sunday by unanimously ratifying a collective bargaining agreement and a constitution, according to multiple reports. The Professional Women's Hockey Players Association has not announced the result of the vote conducted by its 97 members. The ratification effectively clears the way to launching the new league, which will bring together the top female stars in North America, with the potential to attract Europe and Asia's best as well. The CBA runs through 2031, and having one in place before the league begins play marks a first for a professional women's sports in North America. Really? Wow. Yeah, sure enough, I guess. The WNBA's CBA was ratified in 1999, a year after the league launched, and the National Women's Soccer League didn't have its first CBA until last year, 10 years after it was established. Holy crap. Wow, I just thought that was standard practice, that's what they had to, the hoops they had to jump through to get a league. Wow. I didn't realize that they could, wow, that not everybody would sign immediately, The vote caps a whirlwind 3-day stretch that began when Los Angeles Dodgers chairman Mark Walter, one of the new hockey league's financial backers, eliminated the competition by buying out the rival 7-team Premier Hockey Federation. What's left now is determining the league name and where its 6 teams, 3 in the U.S. and 3 in Canada, will be based. After that, teams will begin hiring staffs, followed by a draft and free agency signing period to stock each franchise's 23-player roster. Quote, I couldn't be more proud of our player group for really sticking together and being united throughout the whole process. PWHPA board member and Canada national team player Sarah Nurse said on Friday, quote, we really understood our value and our faith, and it has just never wavered from that, she added. And so looking at what we're accomplishing with our CBA, which is paramount to us, it's just such a great time. And I know that in the long run, our sport is going to be so much better off for it, end quote. While the new league is open to all players, the CBA vote was limited to Professional Women's Hockey Players Association members who have spent the past 3 months negotiating the agreement with the financial backers, the Mark Walter Group and the Billie Jean King Enterprises. Brant Feldman, a player agent who represents numerous national team members, released a statement hailing the CBA ratification as groundbreaking, quote, groundbreaking for women's sports, end quote. Quote, credit to the Mark Walter Group and Billie Jean King Enterprises to change the conversation that this is a business and be in a mutually beneficial relationship with the players at the start than trying to build a CBA on the fly after the kinks of startup have already begun, end quote, Feldman added. Rivals No Longer, a group of the Premier Hockey Federation's more high-profile players, issued a unifying message earlier Sunday by saying they're eager to join forces, even as it comes at the expense of their league. Quote, today all women's hockey players are united stronger than ever as we enter this new era, the statement read. As we embark on another league formation, we bring the power and infrastructure we fought to build. We are hugely excited to see a unified league that will house all the best athletes that hockey has to offer, and aim to build the strongest league that can stand the test of time." End quote. The statement was released by 11 players who have formed a Professional Hockey Federation leadership committee featuring at least one representative from each of the league's 7 franchises. The committee members include Boston Pride captain Jillian Dempsey, who holds the PHF record for goals, points, and games played. Connecticut Wales Casey Bellamy, a former U.S. Olympian and former Union member. And Montreal Force's Anne-Sophie Betez, who played on Canada's national team and is also a Union member. The news of the purchase refueled a familiar narrative over the so-called rift between the two leagues, which the PHF players wanted to dispel. We look to depart from the divisive narrative that too often plague the many great achievements across professional women's hockey, and become unified as we collectively create hockey's future. End quote, the players wrote. Wow. So they're making progress faster than we expected. All right, one last thing, and then we'll get out of here for the night. Tennessee State has announced that they're going to be the first historically black college or university with an ice hockey program. Tennessee State University announced Wednesday it was adding a club men's hockey team, making it the first historically black college or university to introduce a college hockey program. The Nashville-based school said the men's team will start play as a club program. In 2024, and while no timeline was given, TSU said that its goal is to eventually field both a Division I men's and women's team. Quote, "Bringing ice hockey to Tennessee State University is a part of our continued commitment to provide our students with new opportunities and to broaden new interests in areas where they have traditionally had limited or no access." TSU President Glenda Glover said in a statement released by the school, "We appreciate our ongoing partnership with the Nashville Predators, which has played a pivotal role in our decision to pursue this historic undertaking of starting an ice hockey program at TSU, and will be a first for a historically black college and university." The pre-existing relationship between the Preds and TSU is what laid the foundation for the school partnering with the Preds, the NHL, and the College Hockey Incorporated. From there, TSU took part in a feasibility study that was administered by College Hockey Incorporated, an entity that works to grow the collegiate game. College Hockey Incorporated, in conjunction with the NHL and the NHL Players Association, offers prospective schools a feasibility study to see if they are in a position to potentially add either a men's or women's program in some cases, both. The study concentrates on the financial impact of adding hockey. It examines if schools can account for adding scholarships internally, how much it would cost an athletic department to add a coaching staff and a support staff, along with a conference assessment to determine if a team has realistic options to join the league. The American Collegiate Hockey Association, which is the national organization for club hockey programs, has seen its former members transition to Division I. That was the case with Arizona State when they went from having a club team to eventually fielding a men's program. ASU won 2 national club titles before it became a Division I program in 2015-16. During the previous season in 22 and 23, there were 62 active Division I men's programs compared to the 37 Division I women's programs. The highest level of women's hockey is technically called the National Collegiate Division and includes the 37 Division I teams plus 5 Division II programs. Wow, that's interesting. TSU said it's in the process of hiring a director of club hockey operations who will be responsible for fundraising, community partnerships, student-athlete recruitment, and managing day-to-day operations. Quote, Together we celebrate the power of collaboration as we dismantle barriers, diversify the game, and propel hockey into a new era of inclusivity. TSU Athletic Director Mickey Allen said in a statement, This partnership serves as a catalyst, driving change and ensuring that the game we love embraces the beauty of diversity. End quote. So, there you go. How exciting that they're going to have another school that's going to sponsor hockey. Hopefully men's and women's. So, but I totally get why they would need to have that feasibility study done beforehand, because there's a lot that goes into adding sports at the collegiate level. Title IX implications, the costs of everything. Is there even a conference that they can join? How are they going to get matchups otherwise if they're independent? So on. So, yeah, very exciting. All right, well, that is going to probably do it here for us tonight on The Neutral Zone. I was going to probably take the night off too, but there was just too many good news stories. I couldn't help it. Too many good stories that I had to make sure we got out there to our public. So, all right, we're going to head out for the night. Once again, make sure you... we want to thank Larry B. We want to thank Taryn and for everything they do around the channel and the network. I want to thank them also for hopping in the chat room. I want to thank Shane for hopping in the chat room too, and happy birthday, buddy. Hope 37's a good one for you. And we're going to get out of here for the night, but make sure you stay out of the penalty box. Don't get checked into the boards. Protect your 5-hole. And light the lamp. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. We'll see you next week. We're going to do some draft grades, some draft grades for all the teams, as well as draft grades on Adam and my mock drafts. And additionally, we're going to talk about some of the best free agent signings. So you don't want to miss it. All right, we'll catch you next week, guys. Have a good night.